Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Has liberty been abducted in Roswell? We'll talk about it today on Faith and Freedom. Hi, I'm Shawn Akers, Dean of the Helms School of Government and Vice President for Middle Eastern Affairs with Liberty Counsel. And joining us today in studio is Deryl Edwards, President of Liberty Counsel Action and Director at the Law School. We are in for Matt Staver today. And the topic for today, Deryl, is an action that's taken place with the Roswell Independent School District. Strange things have happened in Roswell, but this one kind of takes the cake. We have a school district in Roswell, New Mexico, where a group of students decided to do something special for their teachers. They made a 6-hour round-trip drive because there's no Krispy Kreme Doughnuts available in Roswell, to provide their teachers with fresh donuts, and they happened to attach scriptures to them. They also wanted to hand out things like rocks that had great sayings on them, like "you're special" and "you should be proud of yourself," with a scripture verse on the back. And you would think that in a time, Deryl, when we're concerned about children bringing guns to school and knives to school, that fresh donuts and positive sayings would be something that would be welcome. But it wasn't the case in Roswell, because the independent school district there sent one of those students home immediately and punished 2 others by making them spend 4 hours in detention on a Saturday for exercising their rights of free speech.
It's just hard to imagine. Yeah, it's just hard to imagine. As you said, strange things that happen in Roswell, and I guess one of the biggest shames here is they don't have a Krispy Kreme that close. But it's just an outrage that such freedom of speech would be punished, freedom of religious expression would be punished, and I don't know what else to do other than to get people raised up, to get them upset, to get on the program like we're doing here today, and announce this to the world. And I think people should stand up against it.
You know, Deryl, we're in a position now, we've talked about this a lot lately on these programs, where the United States government has taken a more and more active stance toward forcing children into public education and preferring that over private education, and especially over homeschooling, because you've got this ability to control what your children are learning and doing. And the Supreme Court has said repeatedly that children don't shed their constitutional rights when they enter the public school doors. That's part of the reason that we like to homeschool our children, so we can allow them to speak freely. But the fact is, they're supposed to have that freedom of speech everywhere they go. It's a constitutional right. These kids were sharing scripture verses, and one of the other things they were doing, by the way, this is very, very telling, is that they were handing out models of babies at a certain period in gestation to show the little human features on babies, to raise awareness of the development of human babies in the womb. Now, Deryl, we all know that if that had been a spotted owl, or if it had been wood from the rainforest, or if it had been some other liberal cause, there wouldn't have been anything made over it. But because these children are exercising not just their free speech rights, but free speech that the government doesn't want to hear and doesn't want to go out, these children are singled out and literally punished for exercising their free speech rights.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, the plastic models that were handed out. And one of the telling events that happened right there, one of the students had decided to take her own life that morning because she was disturbed over a past abortion. And when she received the model with the scripture, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made," the opposite happened of what people might have thought happened. Actually, she realized how she was also made in the image of God, as her child was. And she prayed and read the scripture, and her life was saved physically and spiritually.
because of an act of these children reaching out in compassion. And they added on to this, by the way. They took upon themselves to do the things, to set the example while they're handing these things out that we often would promote with children. And it's things like helping other students with their lunch trays and doing a lot of just service, good service, while they were handing these good messages out. And like you pointed out, this one little girl came to school that day, and you've got to see a young lady who's racked with guilt over something. She made a mistake, and it wasn't the way the media would love to play it, is that this judgmental group came down on her. And that's not, you see exactly what the results was in this case. This young lady who was upset over a past abortion found comfort and found forgiveness and found a fresh start with the message that these other students brought to her when they were handing out these models. It would not have happened if the school district had had its way, and now they're being punished for actually using their free speech rights. Deryl, this is the larger problem that we've got to recognize here. It's not that speech is not being allowed. It's that the government is attempting to control what speech is allowed. If it had been a different cause under different circumstances, then it would have been allowed. But the fact is that God is becoming anathema in the public square. Public officials, and especially the school districts, are treating any action that has anything to do with religion, especially Christianity. Not really religion as much as Christianity, but Christianity as an absolutely impardonable sin.
Well, in reading about this, it made me think, when they said the students were pulled out of class and instructed to cease their Christian acts, I thought, isn't this so much like the early days of the Christian church under the harshness of the Roman Empire? It's almost like we were regressing to that period where other pagan religions or other religions of any type, no one's going to say anything, but to stop your Christian acts, it's like, well, that is so much like a persecution under a Roman emperor.
Deryl, maybe we'll have a chance to talk about some of the other ways, financially and otherwise, that we're modeling ourselves after the Roman Empire later in the week. But you're absolutely right. Why in the world are we persecuting school children in this way for a message that they're perfectly right in communicating?
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to stop. And as I mentioned earlier, it's for the people who are like the listeners to this program and other people who follow Liberty Counsel, Freedom Federation, Liberty University. We have to follow in the footsteps of what Dr. Falwell and others launched in the late 70s. It's time for a new revolution, for Christians to stand up, to contact their representatives, to run for office themselves, whether it's from dog catcher to the U.S. Senator or higher. They need to be involved. And I think too much apathy has settled back in among the church. The pastors themselves need to get up and start preaching about this. They need to encourage the people sitting in the pews to get involved, as we once did.
Daryl, it's kind of a neat thing. C.S. Lewis said that pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. And Henry Ward Beecher is another just incredible thinker of early American times. And he said that liberty is the soul's right to breathe, and when it can't take a long breath, laws are girdled too tight. The neat thing about that is that when those laws are girdled too tight, people do begin to suffer pain. And when they begin to suffer pain, they do begin to wake up, exactly like Lewis said. That's what we're really seeing here. When we're on a radio program like this today, and people hear that school children in Roswell, New Mexico are having their constitutional rights stripped at the door, that they can't even do good acts, that they're being persecuted. It wakes the same thing up in us that was awakened in us in 1776. And we do begin to stand up and say, hey, what can I do about this? And we do begin to change the message that comes out of the pulpit. And we do begin to say, hey, maybe I can run for office. Maybe I can do something, because our listeners, and this is something that you and I have talked about before, our listeners have so much more power than just the vote. You've got the ability to change policy in a variety of ways in addition to just voting. There's holding office, there's writing. Senators and congressmen, they pay attention. They've got an algorithm that tells them for every call they get how many people are likely to believe the same thing.
Well, I've heard Dr. Falwell often say, the liberals often forget that we're the only crowd that meets 3 times a week. And comparing us to labor union meetings that may happen once a month or something. So if we can get our people charged up and get the pastors in leadership positions, then we have a chance to turn this thing around.
We do, and you have an opportunity as a listener to do that. You need to take a survey of your own life and find out where it is that you can become more active. One of those places that you can do that is by joining with us at Liberty Counsel. You can do that in a variety of ways, one of which is by joining us on Facebook at facebook.com/Liberty Counsel. That's facebook.com/Liberty Counsel, where you can find out more about what we're doing. You can go to our website at lc.org. You can always give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. And if you'd like to make a donation in the easiest way possible, you can text LC to 20222. That's 20222, and that will make a $10 donation to Liberty Counsel after your confirmation. Now, when you do that, you'll be able to choose from any of our books. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.